everyone. For this Music Talk Tuesday, I thought it would be interesting to discuss some songs that I in particular enjoy and that reflect the topic of money. Ah yes, money. Whether it's the greens, the coins, the gold or the silver, everybody likes to make money. I think to at least a certain extent. Not saying that money is always positive, but it does have, I think, positive associations with it, depending on how you use that money, where that money is coming from, and that's a whole other philosophical, political debate, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to get into these songs that I'm going to talk about that sort of reflect this concept. Now, the first song that I wanted to briefly mention is called Rich Girl by Hall and Oates, or Hall and Oates. I'm not sure if that's exactly how you pronounce the first name, but and that is Rich Girl, and Rich Girl is an interesting song because it focuses on what else? A rich girl. And the vocalist, he basically addresses the song sort of quasi in the third person. Again, the person that's singing the song isn't the rich girl himself, because it's a guy voice, but he is talking about this rich girl. And he sort of, kind of within the song, displays sort of a warning in regards to this rich girl's behavior, because basically she's kind of relying on the old man's money, so to speak. She's relying on other people to support her and doesn't want to go out and try to make some money on her own. And he sort of says that, you know, you can borrow money all you want for however long you want, because again, she's a rich girl, but it won't get you far, and it's not going to provide you fulfillment in life. So really, it's trying to hammer this point, and it does so in such a really upbeat way. Like, you know, it doesn't display any doom and gloom. It really puts itself in a picture of lightheartedness and just joy, just singing about this rich girl. And I think it's supposed to be sort of, you know, one of those positive pep talks to people. Instead of looking down on the person, you kind of you kind of bring out a positive feeling, so that they're more inclined maybe to actually listen to you and what you're saying. And again, I think a lot of therapists or people who are involved trying to talk to people, they will try to paint a more positive picture for them, so that it is easier for them to identify and maybe change their ways. I think that's what the song was initially going for. It does seem to have this positive connotation to it, but doing so with some constructive criticism. And I think that criticism is intended to sound positive, so that ultimately there will be a positive outcome for the rich girl and not a negative outcome. So I think it's trying to approach it from this angle, and that's why I think it's so interesting, because it doesn't approach it in what you think it would approach it as. You know, it doesn't go, rich girl, you can rely on the old man's money. You can rely on the old man's money. No. It's very, very mellow, has a kind of, I think it has a sort of an R&B kind of style, but sort of more old school. And I think it's great. Definitely refreshing, and one of the more interesting songs, I think, when it comes to things that deal with money. And one thing that deals with money is the association of being rich. Being rich equals lots of money. So, yes, I believe that's really all I can say about that song, but I will move on now to the next song. Money by Pink Floyd. This song has been noted for being unique in how it approaches money in general by with its instrumentals, because at the way beginning of the song you hear that cha-ching and the coins and just a bunch of sound effects that revolve around money. And there's actually not a whole lot of lyrics actually in the song. Most of the song, I'd say, is instrumental. And when it does have lyrics, though, it describes money in metaphors. It basically says money is this, money is that. And it kind of describes sort of why it is that. Like, it's gas, it's a crime. And some people, I think, have argued as to whether or not Pink Floyd is for or against money. But I think Pink Floyd was going for both positive and negative attributes when it comes to money. For example, the song itself sounds, for the most part, really cool. Like, it sounds like somebody who's having the time of their life, just living it up, he's got the money, it's like he's in this state of happiness, and he feels cool, and he feels on top of the world, and there's this sense of fulfillment and self-actualization, I guess you could say, because he achieved that money. And it also displays it in a bad way too, because again it says within the lyrics, like, it's a crime. It focuses in on like how people are not really as generous with their money. They won't give it to somebody else because they want their stash of the pie, and it kind of reflects into this idea of people wanting to have what everybody else has rather than trying to spend their money on something that really is of value to them. And so I think it addresses money from a very materialistic standpoint, but also addresses it through a positive standpoint. I think when it describes money as it's a gas, like, just take whatever you can get, and just, like, it's a gas because you fill up your tank every time you go to the gas station, and then you need gas once the car's running low again. And it's the same with money. If you're running low on money, you're gonna need more money. It's a gas. It's something that's constantly a part of your life, and it's not something that you can just simply ignore. So I think there can be both negative as well as positive connotations when it comes to the song. I don't think that they were trying to go for one particular feel, but I think they do describe the negative as well as the positive attributes. And again, there is this sense of materialism and using money as a means to an end, but and not really thinking hardly about it. And then there's the fact that it's also a necessity, and that it's something that's required of us in order to sort of function and have an income, have a support system, having stability. So those things are, I think, really what the song reflects, and why I think it's really, really interesting. And again, it has a really cool, sophisticated kind of luxurious approach to it, rather than Rich Girl that's just like kind of just happy-go-lucky. This song kind of acts like it's sort of higher and above. And again, I think that's sometimes how people perceive themselves when they have money, is that they have some sense of power within themselves. And again, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because sometimes people can use great power for good, and at the same time can use great power for evil. So it's sort of that, I think, dualism going on. There's positive things as well as negative things. So the next song that I wanted to briefly address is called Opportunities, Let's Make Lots of Money by Pet Shop Boys. This song is very 80s. It has a very 80s approach, but it has a very interesting way of approaching the concept of money. Unlike the previous songs that, again, did have some more negative connotations when it comes to money or wealth, or and again have very different approaches to the concept of money instrumentally. The Pet Shop Boys song, Opportunities, it actually approaches it from completely different angles. Because this song does not focus on money itself, like the Pink Floyd song. It doesn't focus on someone who has money, like the Hall & Oates song, or Hall & Oates song, Rich Girl. It focuses primarily on someone who is in the gutter, and I don't mean literally in the gutter. I mean like he's been around, and he doesn't want to be around people that don't provide him a means to make money. He describes these people as sort of quasi jerks, and then he realizes, hey, I know somebody who I could probably be a partner with, that I could make money with, and it would be a positive relationship. So basically what he tries to do is he's trying to convince someone to be his business partner throughout the song. He's literally saying, like, I got the brains, you've got the looks, let's make lots of money. I have this fancy degree from somewhere, and I'm very smart, and you have sort of, I guess, the charisma, and you have all the attributes that I don't have, and hence will be a building block where we can really do something. And the interesting thing about this song and how it approaches its tone is that it's very fantasy oriented. Like, this song feels like you are in a fantasy, and you're in like loads of cash or something. It really approaches it from that kind of over the top angle, as opposed to the other songs that I think were a little bit more down to earth. So that's, I think, something that's very interesting. And he emphasizes within the song that he wants this change for himself too, that he wants this partnership to work because he sees the potential, and he really is very convincing with his argument, because he really tries to cloud in with these instrumentals this emphasis of fantasy, and it just has this very catchy beat to it. It feels like you are taken on a journey with this person who convinces you, you know what? I've got the brains, you've got the looks. Let's do this. Let's make some money here. That's pretty much how he goes about it, and I think it's a very interesting approach. Unlike a lot of other songs that I've heard that have focused on money. But I think that's all I can really say about that song. Let me discuss "Take the Money and Run" by Steve Miller Band. Is this one unique? It's different from the other songs because it focuses its lyrics on a story. So you have these two people, a boy and a girl, who are young, who basically have nothing better to do with themselves, so they decide to steal money. And it has a very casual kind of southern approach to it. It sounds fairly similar, I'd say, to something out of like Leonard Skinner, except maybe a little bit more mellower and not as heavy on the rock, I think. And it's interesting too with how it approaches its lyrics, not just from the story standpoint, but sort of what it's, I guess, trying to hint at with the story. At one point in the lyrics, it says, "He ain't gonna let those two escape justice," and the person that he's talking about is the sheriff in town who figures out that they committed these crimes. And it goes on to say he makes his living off of the people's taxes. So it's sort of, I guess, addressing a little bit of the hypocrisy. Like your living is based upon, forcing people to pay taxes, because I don't think anybody really wants to pay taxes, really, unless they think it's going to somewhere good. But in large part, taxes are an obligation. They're not a choice. And his money is basically being handed to him by people who really don't want to give him money. But yet he's still allowed to make a living. And then these people who steal money are somehow, and then those people who steal money are considered sort of in that same light as criminals, as people who take from those forcibly. And it's kind of addressing those politics again. I don't really want to go into them, but that's kind of the song's approach. And it's a very casual song for the most part. It's not upbeat. It kind of borders on similar to the tone of Money by Pink Floyd, but I'd say that is very loose, because Pink Floyd's tone is a little bit more sophisticated, and I think this tone is just completely casual and kind of just goes with the flow. And I mean, that's really basically what even the chorus says, because the chorus says, "Go on, take the money and run." Basically he's almost saying, like, yeah, you can go ahead and then take the money, because there's people out there who make a living off of people's taxes. I don't know. I think that's really, though, from what I could tell, what this song was trying to, again, reflect on. But I don't think it's trying to be too political as much as it's trying to be a song that addresses sort of the hypocrisies in which people make money. That's kind of, I think, the angle it was going for. Sort of similar to Pink Floyd and how they're addressing how materialism clouds people into believing that if they have something, then that'll make them a better person if they have a certain material good. So that's kind of again these sort of quasi-political, quasi-social kinds of commentary that I think are a part of the song, and I don't think those can really be inescapable, considering the fact that money is a very politically, socially, economically oriented subject. So that's all I think I could say about that song. The last song that I wanted to mention is Money, That's What I Want by Barrett Strong. Or Barrett Strong? Barrett? I think it's Barrett Strong. Bannett or Barrett. I can't tell if I wrote R's or N's. I apologize. But basically, this song completely expresses the desire for money. It doesn't address any social or economic commentary. It's not about displaying a warning or trying to manipulate not manipulate, but persuade somebody. It's purely self-oriented. He basically describes throughout the song how he wants money, and it's almost expressed not necessarily through the lyrics, but with his voice, like his willingness to go to do whatever it takes to earn money. It almost expresses money, I think, in a way that's trying to be oriented towards fulfilling that, hard day's work. Even though it doesn't really address it within the lyrics, I think that's sort of what the vocalist was going for, especially with the way his voice sounds, at least to me. I like how it's very old school, upbeat and R&B oriented, the classic kind of 1950s, 60s R&B style. I think is very cool and sophisticated, and it's cool and sophisticated in a different way than something like Pink Floyd. It's a lot it's a lot more pop oriented and not as rock oriented. So again, you get those two different kinds of genres. So yeah, I think though that's really all I can say about it, because it's fairly straightforward and to the point throughout the entire song. But ultimately, these are all the songs that I could find that focused on money, and I think these songs provide something very interesting when it comes to money. And regardless of where you stand in regards to how money should be distributed, or how you think in terms of money economically, socially, I think these songs provide interesting commentary and are worth exploring. But I think that's really ultimately all I can say. If there are any questions, comments, concerns, more than happy to answer them. I'll be sure to put all the songs below so that you can enjoy them. But I believe that's really all for this Music Talk Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day, week, month, and year. And I hope to see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.